And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 46. 46 episodes in already. We're just barely into February. It's been fun telling the stories of some of the great coaches and student athletes and other people that are involved in NCAA Division III men's and women's basketball this season. And we have another really good one today. It's a 2 QCast Sunday today. Talked to Shane Fernald of Hampton Sydney earlier today. And I've got another hooper here with me, and that's Russ Marr, the 6'3 senior guard of Sewanee, the Tigers. Russ is the sixth leading scorer in NCAA Division III men's basketball. He's at 23.8 points a game. Russ, great to have you on the QCast here. How's everything going for you?
Yeah, everything's good. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I'm very excited to. Yeah,
Let's first talk, Russ, about the game yesterday, because
yeah.
that was actually pretty crazy. So let's start here. Is Am I remembering this right? You guys were down like 11 with a minute and a half
hmm
left, correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So what are we thinking down 11, 132-ish left? I mean, what are you thinking? What is the team saying? What's being said in the huddle? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, down 11 with it's really tough. Like you don't see that very much coming back down 11 with a minute and a half, but like there's always time on the clock. The score, coach preaches about the score. It doesn't matter until that last buzzer sounds. So we were all just we knew we had to really lock in these last minute and a half and try to just put a bunch of pressure on the other team. And we ended up making them turn it over a few times on the inbound. And so yeah, we just put a lot of pressure, got some good looks, went to the free throw. I think we shot 8 free throws in the last minute and a half, and we were eight
Yeah.
for eight. So that was a huge help in getting coming back into that game and winning.
And the decisive play was you hit a basket from like the low right block. You're going to the basket.
hmm
You score. You get fouled. You make the free throw, and
Yeah.
that was that 1 point lead after the and one and the three
Mhm.
point play. That 1 point lead, I believe, was your only lead of the
Yeah.
game, and it was the final score. Talk us through what you guys were trying to do on that possession. It was sideline out of bounds, I
Yeah.
believe, and I think it came right into you. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a sideline out of bounds, and we were like setting staggers on the other side, and then one of our guys like turned around and screened for me, and I was supposed to get a stagger too, and I come off, and like the play's originally designed for like for the 3 point, but I mean I had the look, but as soon as I like caught the ball and looked at the basket, the entire right side of the floor was like wide open.
Right.
So I was like, I'm at least gonna go tie the ball game and maybe send it to overtime. But the kid jumped with me and fouled me, and I finished the play. So yeah, it's a
What
good
what
look.
was that like after the game, coming back from down 11 and winning in that kind of fashion? What was that like?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was amazing. That's our. So we played. I mean, Millsaps in our conference, obviously, and my whole time at Sewanee, we have not beaten them at
Wow.
Millsaps. So we needed that win, and obviously going further into SAA play, we really needed that to try to host the tournament. So yeah, it was a very big win for us.
Huge win in terms of the conference race. So let's talk about where you're at in the SAA conference race, because yeah, if you lose that one yesterday, you're kind of in a really tough position. But as it is,
Mhm.
so Barry is 7-1.
Yeah,
You guys are 6-2. Center's five and
we're,
three.
we're seven
Oh,
and one.
pardon me.
We're 7-1 now.
Sorry, seven
No,
and
you're
one.
good. Yeah, you're good.
7-1. And so when you look at the standings and that game, I mean, think of the difference between the win or the loss yesterday at Millsaps. Like, is that something you guys processed in the moment?
Yeah, I think I think not in the moment so much, but like after the game, we were like, yeah. I mean, before the game, we preached on it like we needed this. Yeah, we want to be like we want to host conference this year. We haven't done it in my career at Swanee, so yeah, we knew this was a big time game for us, and like if we lost, there was like very slim chances of us hosting this year.
I want to say next up is it you play Barry, you host Barry this
Yeah.
Friday. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you and Barry tight at this point.
Mhm.
You guys won at Barry earlier
Yep.
this year. And
Yes,
so
sir.
if you were to, obviously this game Friday is enormous for you, because
Yeah.
if you beat Barry, that would be a sweep.
Hmm.
And I assume that like every other conference, that would be a tiebreaker over Barry, correct?
Yes.
So tell us about like Barry. What do they bring to the table? Obviously, they've been a great program now for several years.
Uh-huh.
Um, what do you look for in that game Friday against Barry?
Yeah, Barry's got they got a really good team. I mean, their point guard, he's averaging in conference, he's averaging like 23 and 6 assists maybe. So he's a really good player. They got some shooters on the exterior on the 3-point line that can really shoot it. So we really gotta just play solid defense. Just go in and do what we know how to do. I mean, just stay composed, worry about ourselves. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one Friday night.
What was that? The first one, the January 9th game that was at Barry.
Yeah,
What was the environment like? Was that? I know they have a really nice gym.
yeah.
I don't know if they had a big crowd there. How was that environment in the one that you won there at Barry?
Yeah, the environment was good. They didn't have a big crowd. I think there were still students. It was on a Thursday. We had to move it
Yeah.
to a Thursday because of the snow and everything up here. But like not a ton of people there, but they still had like a decent crowd. But like, yeah, it's always fun to play against Barry. I feel like them and Rhodes are our two biggest rivals in conference. And so it's always like a good, like very competitive game against them. So yeah, the environment was really good.
Let's just take a step back for a second, Russ, and talk a little bit about the school. So Sewanee, aka the University of the South, like tell us a little bit for those that are tuning into the QCast and don't know much about your school.
Mhm.
Obviously, very prestigious, well-known school
Yeah.
around the United States. Tell us about Sewanee.
Yeah, so Sewanee, it's a very small private school. Sits on top of Mont Eagle Mountain. Very small community too. I think we have 1,400 kids. I think so. So yeah, 400 something in each grade. Yeah, super small school. It's just basically like in the middle of the woods. We have there's a lot of land around us. We have 13,000 acres. Um, but yeah, it's a beautiful school and also like you said, very prestigious, like well known for their academics. So yeah, it's a great place to be in. Very great place.
How did you find your way there? So you're from Bryant, Alabama. You
Yeah.
went to North Sand Mountain High School.
Yes.
Talk about like when you were a senior in high school, what type of schools were recruiting you,
Mhm.
and how did you end up picking Sewanee?
Yeah, so I think going into my senior year, I had an offer from Covenant College
Sure.
on Lookout Mountain. And I had an offer from Sewanee. And those were my only two coming out of high school. I was talking to a couple of D2s, like shorter. I talked a little bit to UAH as well. But Sewanee was it's actually the closest college to my house, and I haven't really heard much about it until Coach Emerson reached out and started recruiting me my junior year. So yeah, I mean, as soon as I come up on a visit during COVID, and so it was like we couldn't go in many buildings. We didn't get to go
Right.
to athletic facilities or anything, but I mean, the campus was beautiful and loved the coaches. Got to meet a couple of the players, and I actually like kind of knew one of the players that was on the team. He was a freshman on the team that year, but yeah, I just fell in love with the place really. It's a great spot to be, beautiful campus. So
And in terms of academics, what's your degree going to be in, and do you know what you're going to do next year?
yeah, so my degree is natural resources and the environment. The route I want to go with that is I want to do like water quality research, some work with that, water pollution somewhere in that field. But next year I plan to go play overseas
That's great.
somewhere. So yeah,
And so
that's
you got to figure out how that all works, right?
yeah.
I know a lot of D3 hoopers have gone that route, and it's
Mhm.
great to hear you're thinking about that. You just got to figure out who to talk to and how to make that
Yeah.
work, right?
Yeah. I know I have a good connection right now. We had a kid graduate from Swanee my sophomore year, and then he went to Case Western for a year,
Yeah, yeah.
and now he's over in Ireland playing. So
What was his name?
Colin Kale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
He did very well at
Yeah.
Case. Yeah. So they've had a number of guys come through there.
Mhm.
That name when you said that, I was like, who was that?
Yeah.
Um, in terms of your career, I believe when you were a freshman, you're the SAA newcomer of the year.
Yes,
Your
sir.
sophomore year, I think you were D3hoops.com second team all region. So you've really been successful from the get go. Talk about like the process of figuring out how to be a college hooper? Because you'd agree there's a big jump from high school to
Yes.
college. What did it take coming in
Hmm.
to be so successful early on at Sewanee?
Yeah. I think coming in, like, I come from a small, like a really small public school in Alabama. So that like the competition was, it was pretty good. We played a harder schedule my senior year. But like coming into Division 3, like I didn't realize like how like high level D3 basketball is, and like
Right.
not a lot of people give a lot of credit to it. But coming in was just kind of figuring out. I was like, I come in really small. I was 6'3", 150 pounds when I come in. And so I kind of had to figure out like staying in the weight room as much as I can, get stronger, put on some weight, try to eat as much as I can. But in terms of on the court, like the game was so much faster. It was just more competitive, stronger. And so I kind of had to finish. I had to learn how to finish around the rim a lot better because I mean, using my body and everything being so skinny and so small was like it took a little bit, but when I finally adjusted, yeah, it was a lot better. And I put on about I'd say 20 pounds since or from freshman to sophomore year and made a huge jump sophomore year, had a lot better year. And yeah, it was just coming in, like being around the game, trying to play as much as possible with the college competition, just playing pickup as much as possible. So yeah.
And then the jump to where you are now, averaging 23.8 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, 2.4 assists a game, 1.5 steals, 1.2 blocks, just like a stat line
Hmm.
that's pretty crazy across the board. From from sophomore year, junior year, now to your senior year, and what you're doing, how have you taken that next step, Russ?
Yeah, the next step is just staying in the gym. I mean, all the work you put in, you got to trust it. And so yeah, and my coaches, they're huge on they trusted me very like a lot. Teammates trusted me a lot. So really just like figuring out more ways, like playing as much you play, the more you play, the more you're going to figure out and you're going to learn. You see just smaller details about the game that kind of come to you. And so just playing as much as possible like in the summer.
Right.
When you're back at school and pick up with the team, I mean, you just notice those little details and figure out what you need to work on that's not your strongest suit was a big key for me this year. That took a big jump. So yeah, just figuring out all those smaller details.
Talk to me about November 23rd versus McMurry. You score 50.
Yeah.
You were 15 of 23
Hmm.
from the field. I mean, 50 is pretty special. I think 30 is special.
Yeah.
40 is special, but 50 doesn't happen a lot.
Hmm.
So talk about that game against McMurray and kind
Yeah.
of everything that went into scoring 50 that day.
Yeah. So we just come off of a loss against Laterno the day before. And they're a good team. They got a really good team. They got their point guards.
I've
He's a
seen them in
really tough
person.
player,
I've
Deontay
seen I,
Jackson.
I
Yeah.
saw when my Illinois Wesleyan Titans played them.
Uh-huh.
He's awesome. That kid's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a really good player. But going into that game, like I mean, we always want to play to win, like play to the best of our ability. But I mean, we flew all the way out to Texas, didn't want to go home 0-2, and really come into that game, and we were hitting shots, and early on in the game, I mean, I hit a few shots in the first half. I think I ended the first half with like maybe 19 points, somewhere around in there. And in the second half, it was a pretty close game all in all, but everything just started falling for me. The 3-point line, I think I hit 4 or 5 threes in the
Wow.
second half and was just getting to the rim. Like, just started seeing the game. It kind of slowed down for me. So I was able to kind of get what I wanted. And my teammates were looking for me the entire time. Trey Corrigan, our point guard, just finding me every possible spot, and the rest of the team they were looking for me. They knew I had the high hand. So yeah, it was a special night.
You mentioned you guys are 7-1 in the SAA. You're 15-6 overall. So I counted that in terms of how many games you've scored 20 or more.
Hmm.
You've done that 12 times.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So you've
Hmm.
done that 12 times. You've played 21 games. Um, as far as where you're at in the schedule, Russ, again, I was talking to Shane at Hampton Sydney earlier, and I made the comment that things are starting to feel like they're getting late in Division
Yeah.
Three because you've got Friday of Barry,
Hmm.
On the 9th, you have Oglethorpe. On the 14th, you're at Rhodes, and at the 16th, you're at Hendricks. So you just have 4 regular season games to go.
Yeah.
Is it starting to feel to you guys like this is okay? Now we're ramping up for kind of the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially us as seniors, like we have a huge senior class. I think we have 8 guys on the team that are seniors, and we normally start 4 of them. So it's like this is our last chance to make something special of this postseason and kind of get a run how we've wanted to get a run our entire careers at Sewanee. So yeah, I mean, we got 4 games left. We know every game matters. So yeah, it's kind of setting in, and I think it's kind of getting into everybody's head that like this is it. So
Yeah, it's yeah, February. It's getting to be that
yeah.
time of year in Division Three. A couple games ago, you became the all-time leading scorer
Hmm.
at Sewanee. So you passed up Kit Walsh, and Kit Walsh scored 1,773 points, 1,773, and you're now well past that, of course. What was that like to kind of learn that you had become the all-time leading scorer at the school?
Yeah, I mean, I think it still hasn't like really set in. I don't think it will for a while, but yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I never thought like I mean, coming into college, I wanted to have the best career I could have, but like that accomplishment alone is like it's just unbelievable. Hard to really wrap my head around. But yeah, I mean, the all-time leading scorer. Just I want to give kudos to my like teammates, my coaches with all the trust they have in me, and they know when I have the hot hand to just find me. And so yeah, it's truly incredible.
Yeah, congratulations. That's a
Thank
big
you.
deal to be an all-time leading scorer at a school. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, just mentioned your coaching staff, Brian Emerson,
Hmm.
sixth season as a head coach of the Tigers. He graduated from Williams, so he came from a great program. I think Williams class of 2012,
Hmm.
and was part of a lot of success there.
Yeah.
He was an assistant at MIT, an assistant at Williams. Talk about playing for Coach Emerson, kind of like what his style is, what the culture is that he's built there, and just a little bit about Coach Emerson.
Yeah, he is a super smart coach like when it comes to drawing up plays, and we run the Princeton offense. So like the Princeton offense, it took me a little bit of time to get used to, but he's really like done a great job with us at it and kind of learned how like the best way for us to run it is just throwing different variations in there. But like he's a super smart coach. Really knows the game very well and knows how to get to us as his players. And it's been incredible playing under him. It's just super smart guy. And yeah, he really, really knows the game of basketball.
I meant to ask you earlier about kind of your status with the injury. So I know that I think it was the Hendricks game on the 19th that you
Yeah.
played, and then you only played like 25 minutes. So the Hendricks game is the one where you suffered that ankle, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you missed the game at center on
Hmm.
on January 22nd. You missed the game versus Millsaps at home on the 26th.
Yeah.
But then the last 2 games, so center on the 29th, and then yesterday, you came off the bench
Hmm.
and played about 24, 23 minutes each game.
Yeah.
How is your ankle? Like what's the status of that injury?
Yeah. So I come down on it, like you said, against Hendricks, and it was a grade 2 sprain. And we training staff has done a great job at like getting me back as quick as possible. And it's coming along. It's still a little sore and a little weak, but it's definitely coming along. I know yesterday I went for a layup in the Millsaps game and jumped off my right foot, and I probably got like not even an inch off the ground. It's just awkward trying to adjust like going into the rim, jumping off that right foot. But yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot better. Still a little sore, but I think having this week before Barry's gonna I'm gonna yeah get it rested up some and just keep going to the training staff every day. So yeah,
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 it's
it's doing
good
a lot better,
good to see you out there,
though. Hmm.
and great that you'll be able to play in that huge game against Barry
Yeah.
that we talked about earlier. One thing I didn't ask you earlier when you were mentioning like who was recruiting you and how that all worked. Um, what advice would you give Russ high school seniors that are getting recruited right now by small colleges. And, by small college, I mean D3,
Yeah.
D2, NAI, even JUCO. Like, what
Mm.
advice would you give kids in terms of like important things to help them figure out how to make their decision?
Yeah. I think I mean the percentage of athletes that get to go play like NCAA basketball is crazy low. It's
It is
like
crazy
I
low.
think it's like 3% or something
Yeah,
of high school students. So I mean, I think if the opportunity is there and you have a love and passion for the game, then take it. And I mean, you don't have to even if you take it and go for a year and you say it's not for you, at least you took the chance. But definitely take the opportunity. You meet a lot of amazing people. You have an amazing time in small college playing, and it's like you build a family. You meet some of your best friends while you're here. So yeah, I think if you have the opportunity, definitely take it.
that's great. That's great advice. I love to ask that question when student athletes come on because
Yeah.
it's relevant right now, this time of year.
Yeah.
Recruiting's in full swing. And, advice like this, if I were a high school kid listening to someone like you, that would help a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I really appreciate your time, Russ. When you think about this final stretch of the year here in
Mhm.
February, what's the goal? What's the vision here for your team as you think through the end of your career now, whatever that means? Like, what is there a certain, like, we want to win this or we want to win that? What are you guys trying to accomplish here?
Yeah. So I mean, we definitely want to accomplish winning another SAA championship. We won one my sophomore year. And so we want to get another one under our belts. And we want to, I think Sewanee has only had one team win an NCAA tournament game.
Wow.
So we want to we have the talent too. We got a very talented team. We want to make a little run in the NCAA tournament, just see how far we can go. But I know we have a talented enough team to do that. So yeah, we'll just see where it takes us.
Yeah, win that SA conference tournament, get yourself in there,
Hmm.
and yeah, get in the bracket, and you never know what can happen. I mean,
Yeah.
in the bracket, I think anyone can beat anyone in the
Yeah.
NCAA tournament. So yeah, but really well said. And again, it's been cool just preparing for this, like going back to watch a lot of your games this year.
Yeah.
You're an incredibly talented kid, and really dynamic offensive player that can score it from anywhere. And I thought the game yesterday was really cool to to have you coming on here
Uh-huh.
and know that like you had won the game at basically not quite the buzzer, but
Yeah.
1.4 seconds from the buzz. So congrats on all your success, both individually but also your team. Sitting here at
Thank you.
15-6 and 7-1.
Mhm.
Certainly, I'll be watching, the Barry game because
Yeah.
that's two really good teams, and that is a very big basketball game.
Yeah.
Russ, I want to leave you with final thoughts for those tuning into the QCast. I'm sure that Sewanee fans will be tuning in to
Yeah.
this thing, and I know that people around Division 3 will be.
Hmm.
What would you leave everyone with on the QCast, Russ?
Yeah, I just want to first off thank you for having me on. Yeah, I was very excited when you reached out and very excited to just talk about just the season, how it's going in Swanee and coaching staff, teammates and everything. So yeah, just want to say thank you for having me on. And then go Tigers.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Yeah, it's really interesting to have student athletes like you on. I mean, 50-point game, sixth leading scorer in Division 3. You win the game yesterday, so I would just encourage everyone, if you haven't had a chance to watch Russ and the Tigers play, they have 4 regular season games left, and they're fun to watch. Talented team, and I really do wish you the best of luck, Russ. That is Russ Marr. He's a 6'3" senior guard for the Sewanee Tigers. They have a big ball game this Friday at home against Barry, and it's an enormous game in the SEA race. So, Russ, thanks a lot, my friend. I really appreciate it. This is great, and I hope to see you in a gym before the season ends.
Yep, thank you so much.